Hi guys, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Maria and today I'm doing a video on gratitude journaling and why you should do it. So I have done around 1,300 days in my gratitude journal, so that's almost 4 years. So I started this little project back in October 2017 and let me tell you, I have not looked back since. There is a whole plethora of reasons for why this is such a good idea, and I'm so excited to share those with you today. So yeah, without any further ado, let's dive straight into gratitude journaling. But first of all, what even is a gratitude journal? In its most basic form, it's a tool to note down positive experiences in your life. This can be actual life experiences, or it can just be things that you're genuinely grateful for. They can be really big things like getting a university acceptance or a major life event, or it can be minor things like somebody checking up on you when you're feeling low or seeing a really beautiful sunset. The list of possibilities is quite frankly endless. Eventually you end up with a whole bank of these little snippets of joy, and it's genuinely so enjoyable being able to go through these and just think about them. So you can use a notebook. A few of my friends have done this, and that's really great if you like having a physical copy. I personally like using my phone because it's always on hand regardless of where I am. I personally use an app called HappyFeed. That's just what I started with and I've just stuck with. I find it really nice. So since it's launched, they've also added a whole host of other features, so interactive pods where you can share experiences with other people, the option to add several photos and to write and add things to missing days. What I really love about it is that it shows you memories from 3, 6, 12 months ago, as well as for like 2, 3 or 4 years. They also offer some paid features as well, which I have tried. I personally don't think that it's that worth it, but that's completely up to you. I'm sure there are loads of other alternatives as well, so it's definitely worth experimenting and finding out what works for you. So, with all the logistics sorted, let me explain the reasons why you should go for it and start your gratitude journal. Number 1, it makes you notice the little things. So this was really appreciable when I started thinking about things and reflecting at the end of the day. Sometimes it would be really small things that cropped up, like once it was the bus driver just saying hello to me and in the morning and smiling. Another time it was somebody just complimenting my outfit. It could just also be waking up and it not being dark or grey for the first time in ages. There are honestly so many different things that you can say. Also, rather than picking up on them during reflection, you might also just pick up on them during the day. I think just knowing that you're making a journal of these moments can often help you be more attuned to noticing them in the first place. Similarly, I think it can also help you be more proactive in finding things out there that bring you joy. So rather than passively waiting for good experiences to come to you, I found that it sometimes helps me to, take a more active role. This could be taking the initiative to contact with friends that you haven't talked to for a long time, or just going for a walk. It increases the chances that you're going to stumble upon something that really brings meaning or joy to your life. So, for example, that walk that I was talking about could mean you end up seeing some friends you haven't seen in ages, or just having a nice conversation with somebody about your dogs or something. But yeah, at the very least, you'd end up getting some fresh air and a change of scene. But yeah, just having a gratitude journal is an admission that you want to recognise and remember positive experiences. And I think that just makes it even more likely that you're going to put yourself out there and expose yourself to those. Number 3, I think this is one of the most important things, and this is that it works as a memory bank. Realistically, how much do you remember from individual days a month ago? What about 1 year ago? Or let's say 3 years ago? Probably not that much. By keeping a gratitude journal, it keeps a log of the main events in your life, and these would otherwise coagulate to become a bit of a mush in your head. Sure, that can be achieved by keeping a diary as well, but I think the barrier of writing in your diary regularly is much bigger than just noting down, say, 3 positive things that happened in your day. So personally, I kept a gratitude journal over every single day of my time in Cambridge. When I look back on it, I can see all these memories which I otherwise probably would have forgotten. So I can see all the things that I did in Freshers Week, about my matriculation, my first formal, and like my first experience with going on a boat in the Cam. I can look over the memories of going to that ice cream shop after school as well, or all those like conversations I had during form time. There are lots of smaller things though that I know I would have forgotten otherwise. Keeping a gratitude journal is the best resource on those darker days. So a few weeks ago, one of my friends told me that she could never really remember any good moments. When she'd sit down, she'd just feel eaten away by regrets or remembering comfortable moments. Does that sound familiar? Or sometimes you might just be having a dreadful day. In those dark moments, it can be really useful to have a bank of positive experiences and memories to look back on. Just reading from like some funny inside jokes you have with your friends, or that time a stranger did something genuinely really kind for you. That can make all the difference, and it can be a huge source of support and really impact your mental health in a very positive and palpable way. Keeping a gratitude journal also helps you see how far you've come. In my experience, keeping a log of activities that you're proud of can also act as a good benchmark, allowing you to see how far you've progressed. For example, I started running during the first lockdown, and that was something I really struggled with initially. I attempted to run a 5K during the Help for Heroes fundraiser, which I found almost impossible. And that's actually what spurred me to try running in the first place. When I completed my first continuous 20-minute run, that was an absolutely huge achievement. And yeah, that ended up being noted in my top 3 things for the day. That also happened with my first full 5K, 10K, and some of my speedier runs. What I really like about this is that you're comparing your progress to just yourself and nobody else. And so, yeah, that's your benchmark for success. I think tracking your progress like this is relevant for lots of activities. That could be your personal best scores at the gym, or like academic achievements, or like putting yourself out there socially. Keeping a gratitude journal can help landmark key events. In many cases, I find it really easy to lose track of when key events in my life happened, or how I felt when they happened or before they happened. It's often really difficult to imagine how you felt at the time. So a really simple example I'd like to use is the day I was waiting to receive my Cambridge offer. When I looked back at my gratitude journal, I can properly look at the context of how I felt before that happened and the days leading up to it, as well as my thoughts afterwards. I think in many cases, your experiences after an event just colour the way you remember how you felt before the event happened. So they used a pretty good example of this, something that was referred to as a retroactive memory in one of our psychology lectures back in 2nd year. Essentially, in one of these experiments, they questioned people after a car accident. So based on how they phrased the post-event questioning, so whether they used words like smashed or crashed, that actually altered how the subjects perceived the cars to have been travelling. So those who had been questioned with really emphatic language like crashed or smashed, they recalled the car travelling at a much faster speed than it had been. In the same way, I think if I hadn't committed to writing down how I felt before an event happened, I don't think I would have been able to appreciate how I had actually felt. And I think the way I would have remembered it would have been altered. I don't think I would have been able to appreciate how nervous I was feeling about receiving my Cambridge offer, having known that I actually received it. I think this idea is also pertinent for smaller events too. So I think these could be really simple things like your first kiss or the day you passed your driving license. You wouldn't have noted the exact day that happened, but I think by having a gratitude journal, you actually can, which I think is really nice. Keeping a gratitude journal helps to build habits. This is quite a simple concept, but the process of writing every single day is something that you can actually build into your routine. It ensures that you're committed to doing something every single day and that you remain disciplined. This is something that can be applied to many different spheres of life, and perhaps psychologically, just knowing that you can commit to something and follow through with it, even if it's something this simple, makes you more likely to follow through with other things in your life. This is kind of an interesting one, but I think it allows you to track your relationships with people, which can be really interesting to look back on afterwards. Our relationships with other people change, and that's often inevitable, but it can be really interesting to track this. I found that in the period between leaving school and starting university, it has been filled with lots of people entering my life, though a lot of these, or some of these experiences were short-lived. I wrote daily in my gratitude journal throughout my time in Freshers Week, so it's often really interesting to look back on these early interactions that I had and the first impressions that I had of people. Some of these people went on to become my closest friends, and flicking through the journal is fascinating because it shows how these friendships developed over time. Finally, keeping a gratitude journal is actually associated with biological benefits too. So after a bit of online reading, I found there are actually a few studies out there which put gratitude journaling in quite a favourable light. So according to an article in Psychology Today, there were positive effects on sleep. So just spending 15 minutes writing your positive experiences before bedtime can help you get a much better night's sleep, as well as clearing your head so you're not as worried. Similarly, gratitude journaling can also help with self-esteem. So showing gratitude has been proven to decrease social comparisons, which is something I touched on earlier when talking about measuring your progress to yourself, just a past version of yourself. And that makes sense because by expressing what you're grateful for, that can help you be less resentful towards others. So in a study done by the Journal of Applied Sports Psychology in 2014, they identified that gratitude enhances self-esteem in athletes, and because they had more self-belief, these athletes had a greater ability to trust others on a high level. Activities which enhance gratitude, so like gratitude journaling, they can also help to reduce stress. So in a paper in the Journal on Research and Personalities, they examined the results from 2 longitudinal studies, and they found that people who focus more on feelings of contentment experienced less stress. The people tended to feel more grounded and had a better ability to deal with life events. Either way, all of these reasons point towards doing a gratitude journal and adding that as part of your daily routine. On the whole, I cannot recommend it enough. And yeah, regardless of your reasons for starting one, if you keep going with it, I'm sure you'll be glad that you stuck with it. I hope this video was informative, and I hope that you decide to give gratitude journaling a go. I hope it was useful, and if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.